Good evening, everybody. Uh, Coming again from you for now from Tuscany, Italy. At first, I'd like to remind you that if you like our content, please like and subscribe our videos. Check the website Blockchain Champions and see if the course there is something for you. Back to the charts. The Bitcoin monthly. Well, I think it's all known how it looks like. Again, I always try to look at a blank chart and to get a feel for how it's looking today. Um, we've started a new month. The monthly candle is green. There was a lot of talk on the socials that we have to close the month above uh, the 20 day moving average or something like that. Um, I saw it everywhere. Else it would be doom and gloom. Um, I usually try not to look at these or listen to these socials. Why? Because they will bias you. I prefer to make my own plans and think for myself. And I actually would have loved a close lower and a wick down, because the lower we go, the easier it would be for me to load up a massive long. And well, the only thing that's happened now is potentially we've made a new monthly level. Why potentially? Well, I can only know for sure that this is a level after the close of this monthly candle, so in 4 weeks, about 4 weeks. If we close above 37,554, we have a new monthly level right here. That's actually all I've seen this month. Still looks like we're actually kind of range bound. And I'd say the most obvious range channel to look at is this one. Looks like we're still stuck here. Would have loved a touch or even a fake out of this. Would have loved to taken out this low or this low for an easier long at this point. Even though on the lower time frame there was a very decent long yesterday, but we'll discuss it. Or yesterday, I mean last evening. I couldn't sleep, so this update I made it quite late. So pardon my time skills at this hour. So let's zoom in a bit. Let's zoom in a bit. Well, this is starting to look like a chart I can dream almost. We have a second channel which has been holding up pretty decently. I've said that if we break this channel, which we've actually touched perfectly here, so 1, 2, 3 touches, I said if we break this channel on a lower time frame, like the daily or 4 hours, and we backtest it, I would actually expect to at least touch this channel and maybe even drop below this one. So far we haven't. So yeah, we are still looking to go sideways, at least for now. Daily. The moment you open a daily, you should really start to appreciate this range bound action. Actually, it's been we've been here for well, months, since the start of this year. A lot of trades to be had here. I mean, I'd say this one was the hardest trade, the long here at 33k. It was an old level, but if you take out these two, then you've had certainly at least 1, 2, maybe 3 double bottom, 4, 5 trades, and maybe yesterday, or if you play on lower leverage or on spot, another trade to be had here. So why was it a trade to be had here last evening? Well, today I will show you it lower time frame. Something I don't often do here, but this was a very nice and clear example. So a lot of people always say, don't trade the weekends. It's very scary. It's low volume, and moves get how do you call it? Exaggerated. Well, and that's kind of what happened. Yeah. So I wanted this weekly. So the 30th April, we broke through the monthly, or we broke through a monthly level, back tested it, and fell back down through the weekly onto the next monthly level. Wicked a bit through it a couple of times, came back up, went sideways for half a day, and then we've pumped, only to fall all the way back down to this weekly. And the moment we found support here, it was actually a very decent long entry for a trade to at least, look at that, the 0.786 perfectly touched from the low to this high, perfectly touched. It was a very decent long here with your invalidation, I'd say below this wick. If you're very safe, or if you are more conservative and prefer to take less trades with lower downside risks, you could have set it like around this monthly level for a decent trade, a swing trade long, but not not a very long trade. Like I can't find my my marker, which I'm looking for. So for the editor, you can cut this part out where I'm looking. Ah, yes. So all right, we can continue the video. So the long trade would be something like this. Entry from below the weekly, stop loss here. So this is about 1%, and the upside, well, I think you would have the possibility to at least trade it until here, but I'd say this higher, this lower high, definitely as a take profit level. So this was the long setup from yesterday after the bounce here. To this high, back down. Here was a nice entry, a long entry level, and I'd say you should be able to take it up all the way up here. I'm not sure we're going to make this to the 40k levels, but myself, I would have an earlier profit, or at least I will have a profit that's a bit lower. I will always look at Fibonacci levels. So my first real take profit level would be coming in at 39,200, about there. So this would be this is going to be my first take profit, somewhere in the CC here. I'm going to close probably 50 or 60%. Why? I still have this feeling that we're going lower. So if you take a profit there, you put your stop loss in profit, and then you have a sure winner. So this was the long trade of yesterday based off on lower time frames. But then I can hear your question, and it's, wait, what? You said we are going lower. Well, yes, I still haven't seen a sign of strength. We are still making lower lows. We are still making lower highs. There was some sort of wedge here. I do not like to trade wedges. Well, actually I do, but I like to counter trade wedges. So I always say that if we break out to the upside first, I will be very, very, very cautious on a fake out, only to come back in the wedge and tank it to the downside to wreck the most traders. I mean, it's crypto. We gotta wreck traders before taking a direction. And otherwise, I'd look at it the same way. If we go breakout to the downside first, I'd say, well, might this not be a fake out to the downside, only to come back up in the wedge and break up to the upside? And for that last one, I want to give you an example, which happened perfectly here. This is the area of 2021, the big drop after our 63k or 65k. From 60k all the way to 28, or was it 32k, 31k? If we zoom in even a bit more, this was very awesome, a very awesome fake out, which wrecked a lot of people. If TradingView would help me out here a bit, yes. So to give an actual example of a fake out, which I would be looking at, is, of which I was talking about, is this one. So here we also had a falling wedge. Let's put off this fucking magnet. You can see this wedge here. So everybody was already scared shitless here. We came down from 65k all the way to the low 30ks, and there was this wedge here, and people were like, look, we are going to break out to the fucking moon. And yes, we did. But first, we wrecked all the early longers here. We went from the 30k all the way down to 29, or so we wrecked all the early longs here. Then everybody said, oh, we broke down bearish from the falling wedge, short it now. So all the noobs took a short here and were instantly trapped. We stayed there for a couple of hours or maybe a day or so, and then we shoot up, and we've actually made an insane move in a couple of days, and we've actually never ever looked back at these two levels. This is, you see, there's a daily level here and a weekly level here, which I marked, and we've not looked at these levels back. So this is the sort of structure I would love to see a very strong market change. And I might not get it, but this is what I'm hoping for to see coming out of this, something similar. So we fake out the other way, only to reverse in full force with increasing volume, wrecking the most amount of people, leaving the bears on the sidelines, astonished that we didn't follow through on the downtrend because we broke the wedge to the downside, leaving the bulls on the sidelines because we broke to the downside and they are too scared to long after a sudden move that nobody expected to the downside. And that's where I would like to take the long. So at this point I am still in a small short from around 43k. I've actually missed this one. I wasn't trading, I was at work. This one I took, and I'm going to keep this. I've taken some profits in this bounce, and I'm going to leave my last half of the trade open. If we claim this level, this daily level, as support here, I will probably close the short and see what happens. And I've got a small long from here, which I've set. When we touch the 0.786 here, I took a small long, so I'm currently in a long and a short. If we claim this level, this daily, I will close the short and keep the long open. but my first take profit, where I'm going to take most of the profit of the trade, probably is around 39,200. I remember from the golden pocket I drew before. So that's how I'm playing this market as a trader. I would like to say again that most people should not be traders. If you're looking at this from an investor's perspective, I would say you got a dollar cost average every week, every month, every day, depending on how many times you put in. I mean, getting Bitcoin at 38K is probably going to feel like getting Bitcoin at 3K 5 years from now. I mean, if you look at the graph from Bitcoin over the years, it's only up, and we never look back at certain levels. And at this point, you might be saying, well, it's crazy to buy Bitcoin at 38K. Well, I remember it was crazy to buy Bitcoin at 3.5K because there was some China thought China was going to ban it. And look where we are now. So don't make these same mistakes if you're a true investor and a believer in the tech, and if you're a believer in a decentralized financial system, which governments cannot fuck up by printing billions of dollars daily, or euros for that matter. Well, that's it for today. I hope you found it useful. To me, it was well, very disclosing, telling you where I took some trades and took some profits and took some losses. And I think I made a little video about Phantom yesterday or 2 days ago. My trade idea was wrong. I want to follow back at it. Why? Well, my trade idea was not wrong, but my entry was wrong. I took an entry at just below 80, thinking this was where I wanted to be for my entry. And I got stopped out, and that was a shame. And it was actually very basic stuff. I mean, what was wrong? Well, my entry was wrong. I was not patient. I should have remained patient. This is not the chart I want to show you. I should have remained patient. Look, I've put some new alarm clocks. I found some levels here where I would be interested in taking a new long. So my mistake was not being patient and not waiting for a fine level. Now, because I was on vacation yesterday, I did not manage to grab the low here around 65 cents. So at this point for a trader, I would say we are not in a place where you can take a trade. We would need to reclaim some significant levels and backtest it as support, since you've already missed the first about 15% from the recent low. So that's risky to take the trade here. Let's see. Yeah, so almost 25% from the lows already. Congratulations, actually, if you did manage to take a long ride at the lows here somewhere. As I said before, fundamentally, I think Phantom is not going away, and I think it's been correcting heavily. There was some fundamental analysis which explains this severe drop. There was a trader, there's a market participant who locked about 50 million worth of Phantom in green, and he loaned against it, and the millions he loaned against it, about 37 or 38 million, he locked it in another protocol for 4 years. So he was illiquid as fuck. And then the price started dropping and dropping and dropping, and his position slowly got liquidated. So 50 million Phantom has got liquidated of this guy in this area, from here to here. This part, from about below $1 to this low of 65 cents, 64 cents, 50 million Phantom got liquidated. And that just pushed the price down hard. So that's why that was one of the fundamental analysis reasons which I was very interested in taking along at Phantom. Yeah, but I botched up this trade. So it happens. It happens. I botched up this trade, and now I feel like I'm too late. Now I'm going to make a new plan today. on where, if this was the low, where I can take a new phantom long trade. Because even though I've missed the first 25%, I expect phantom to reach all-time highs at some point in the future. And that would mount up to a long trade of around 340% from where we are right now without leverage. So there's lots of margin and longs to be had here. But if you play with leverage, there is two things that is the most important. One is a good stop loss, and two is a good entry. Well, you can hear the kids crying maybe. It's time for me to go, and yeah, see you all soon.